The Shark Deck.
Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. On his podcast, Tim Dillon was joking about fake business. This is a recurring theme he does. Dillon was talking to Bert Kreischer, and he said, my thing was like fake business where I would call realtors and I would get into actual negotiations about a property, and I would say I'd be a fake realtor, and I'd call them up and I'd go, listen, my clients are deadly serious. They live in the United Arab Emirates, and here's a couple things we need to get. And what happens is it's immediately real business for the realtor, but it's fake business for me because the clients don't really exist. They don't know it's fake business. Yeah, 90% of what you do in sales is fake business. It's not real until they sign the thing, which very few people do. So even though it's fake business, it's real business for them. So it trains them. It keeps them going. Tim continued explaining the bit. Yeah, I represent a lot of very discerning clients in the LA area. None of them exist, but they're high end. They're very discerning. They want Malibu on the water. They want Beverly Flats. I like wasting the time of people. It's a great thing for both of us because sometimes I have time and I'm in traffic and I can call them up and I go, listen, I have a client who's very excited about this property. It seems priced a little higher relative to some of the other comps in the area. I just want to know, are there details about the house that would justify that? I'll wait. And then they're like, absolutely, I'm glad you asked. Tim says, I have no respect for the real estate profession. The Tim Dillon podcast is very, very funny. Am I horrible that I find that funny that he's wasting people's time? He told it very well. Vulture wrote about Richard Belzer, this by Rich Schneider, who said back in the day, watching Belzer play Whack-A-Heckler for his entire set was a lesson. He was cool in his delivery and precise with his words, never showing fear or anger. He exited with the same strut he entered with, and more applause than jeers. He never gave up the stage. When Belzer actually got to do his act in clubs, he had all the tools: a quick mind, an ear for impressions and dialects, a decent singing voice, and a fearless attitude. But what made the room fill with comics was his crowd work. His attitude was so New York, and not a Woody Allen kind of way, kind of a Martin Scorsese rain-soaked garbage strike taxi driver New York. He put such anxiety in the room, way more than the usual hope this comic can make us laugh nervousness. What a great description. Rich Snyder continues, during any given show, Belzer might talk to 10 audience members and insult each one in a different way. By the time he finished mauling some heckler, the rest of the audience avoided his gaze like he was a gang of switchblade-flicking, leather-jacketed hoodlums entering their empty subway car at 3 a.m. In an era where most comics were clean to get on The Tonight Show, Richard used the F-word in all its forms. The Port Authority should have hired him to record greetings at bus terminals, train stations, and airports. Welcome to New York, you Fs. Have a good effing time. He had nicknames for the audience: Kid, Pal, Babe, Sparky. Once he tagged an audience member Sparky, they might as well have started playing taps. The Pitch KC caught up with Brian Regan. In the past, Brian had claimed as his influences Johnny Carson, second mention of the day, Drink, Steve Martin, and Richard Pryor. And the Pitch KC was curious what Brian Regan adapted from them. Brian said, well, I learned different things from different people. Johnny Carson was always kind. He was always nice to his guests. The classic example I use is he had an older woman on the show who had a potato chip collection. She wasn't a star. She wasn't a celebrity. She just had all these potato chips she thought looked like different things. And she came out with her little potato chip collection and showed them. And it would have been so easy for a host to ridicule or mock this woman. But Carson made her feel like a queen. I love that kind of comedy. I call it laugh with comedy as opposed to laugh at comedy. You can laugh at people. I don't find that particularly nice. I prefer laughing with them. So I got that from him. Brian continues, I watched a Richard Pryor special that I hadn't seen in a long time. He's on stage doing his thing, and I literally start crying because, like, seeing somebody raise comedy to the form of art, watching this master, I'm thinking, wow, some people can do this in a way that's just elevated. Somebody can turn comedy into beautiful art. As for Steve Martin, he does double-barrel comedy. It's a mixture of silly and smart. His character's silly and naive and unaware, but the comedian who created the character is brilliant. So, at least for me, when I'm laughing at both. The LA Times asked Hari Kondabolu, what's the worst part of the comedian job? Travel. Travel is hard. I think that's true for any touring performer. I love performing. I love going to other cities. But the process of getting to those cities and staying in a hotel and stuff, that was exciting when I was 28. At 40, it's like, I have a kid and I have a partner. I have a life. I want my kid to see me. Also, I take shows that don't go well a little harder now because it's like, I left my kid for this. Makes you more focused in a way. It makes you do the best you can with the time you have and not waste any time. Amen, Hari Kondabolu. I love this job, but it's brutal. Brutal on the body, brutal on the mind. How many friends' birthdays did I miss? How many weddings did I miss? That's part of what comes with you going where the gigs take you.
We made USAA insurance to help you save. Take advantage of discounts when you cover your home and your ride. Discover how we're helping members save at USAA.com/bundle. USAA. Restrictions apply.
Hello, I am Mark Francis, host of Palace Intrigue, the podcast that delves into the daily drama of the British royal family. These short daily episodes cover the latest news and scandals involving the likes of Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Kate Middleton, King Charles, and the rest. From backroom sources to public controversies, we've got you covered. Whether you're a long-time fan or just curious about the royals, Palace Intrigue is the perfect podcast for you. So join us as we explore the lives, legacies, and dramas of the British monarchy. Subscribe now and never miss an episode of Palace Intrigue.
Let's see who's at the festivals. It's the last night of the Nashville Comedy Festival. Ali Wong at the Ryman, 7 o'clock. Jimmy Dore at Zanies, 4 and 7. Rocky Dale Davis at 9:15. All right, that's easy. We could do Jimmy at 4, Ali at 7, and Rocky Dale Davis at 9:15. That's a wrap on Nashville. Moon Tower wraps up. Only one show today at the Paramount. It's the Felipe Esparza headliner event. Ralph Barbosa, Vanessa Gonzalez joined Felipe on that bill. No more Melbourne, but good news if you like Australian comedy. The Sydney Comedy Festival starts April 24th. Yeah, 245 shows. Are you like, John, we're sick of Australian comedy? Well, too bad. April 24th to May 21st, 245 shows. I like the international stuff. I hope you do too. Some of the comedians going to Sydney: Joe Lycett and Sarah Pascoe from the UK. I'm going to butcher this name. Jacques Bezuidenhout from South Africa, and Scotsman Larry Dean. Local comedians: Osher Gunsberg, Katie Flanagan, and Dave Hughes. From the Arizona Wildcat, the first open mic that Linda Ray felt truly comfortable at was one hosted by a woman at the Surly Wench Pub in Tucson. Ray started doing comedy at the Estrogen Hour, an open mic comedy show for women back in 2016. She said, when I started doing comedy, the only open mics in town were Laughs and Mr. Heads. I love the name of all these clubs. Last year, she got involved with Lady Haha, giving female comedians one more space to perform. Priscilla Fernandez is the co-founder of Lady Haha and says the whole point is to empower you to start an open mic, to do shows, to do different kinds of comedy, to have the courage to know that you have a community supporting you. Lady Haha, Tuesdays at Bumstead's, 1003 North Stone Avenue in Tucson, if you're a local. And from WZZM, a Grand Rapids comedian has taken stand-up to the metaverse. Aaron Souls calls himself the unemployed alcoholic. He said, I left a job to address alcoholism in my life and was going through a kind of a tough time. It was an extended period of unemployment. His wife suggested he try the Laugh Fest's First Timer Showcase. So he got into comedy, but then there was that whole pandemic thing. That's when he discovered the metaverse. He said, I wouldn't have quite expected my path to follow that route, but it did. He created the Soapstone Comedy Club. The venue was founded in Meta's Horizon Worlds. Inside the club, which is a virtual club, I'll remind you, a banner says, we're all here because we're not all there. He said, I've seen people that suffer from severe social anxiety end up taking the stage. Hearing a room full of people applaud them, it's truly life-changing for them. So if you're on Horizon Worlds, check out the Soapstone Comedy Club. And that's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow.
Once in a generation, a new British royal dynasty takes shape. I am Mark Francis, host of Palace Intrigue, a daily podcast about the royal family, and the only place you can get all the news, gossip, and updates from inside and outside the palace. From Harry and Meghan in California to Kate and William in the UK, along with King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince Andrew, and the whole cast of characters. This coronation will be one for the ages, and we'll bring you every detail on every moment in just a few minutes, every day. Hear Palace Intrigue on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.